right, welcome to the deep dive. You've given us a truly ambitious stack of source material today.
Ambitious is definitely the word for it.
It really is. It's a collection that feels like the ultimate instruction manual for, modern living. I mean, we're talking about everything from these hyper-specific manifestation techniques, deep relationship psychology, all the way to, high-stakes career negotiation.
It's the ultimate self-optimization curriculum, really.
Yeah.
Our mission here is to sort of cut through the noise, the glossy packaging and all the contradictory advice, and really extract the core actionable principles that these online experts are pushing. We're looking for that operating system that helps you become what they're all calling a high-value, magnetic individual.
And what's so interesting to me is the sense of urgency that's baked into all of this.
Oh, absolutely.
This isn't about 5-year plans. It's about manifesting things before 2026 or a total identity change in just 3 months. The focus is all on rapid, decisive transformation.
Exactly. So we've synthesized all this rapid change advice into 3 clear areas for you.
Okay.
First, the deep internal mindset shifts that redefine your personal identity. Second, how to master connection and attraction dynamics. And finally, that external strategy, sort of treating your appearance and your performance as a vital form of capital.
Let's do it. Let's unpack this, starting with that crucial internal blueprint.
Okay, so let's start with the foundational philosophy. It underpins all the manifestation advice, which is basically that the external world reflects your internal one.
Right, but this isn't just, fluffy spiritual talk in the sources. They really try to ground it in neuroscience.
They do. They root it specifically in the reticular activating system, or the RAS.
The RAS.
Yeah, and for anyone who's not familiar, the RAS is, it's essentially your brain's filter system.
Like a bouncer for your thoughts.
That's a perfect way to put it. Every second, you are bombarded with millions of bits of information. But the RAS acts like this highly prejudiced bouncer. It only lets in the information it thinks is relevant to your current focus or your core beliefs.
So if you subconsciously believe, I am unlucky, or I am struggling financially, your RAS literally scans the environment for evidence to confirm that. So you only notice the rejection letters, the failed investments, all the signs of scarcity.
That's it, exactly. You have to actively train that filter. The sources really stress that success isn't just about, surface level affirmations or doing a routine.
Right.
The real shift is reprogramming that RAS to focus on growth and potential, not avoidance and lack. Energy genuinely flows where your attention goes.
So if all your cognitive bandwidth is taken up by the fear of being broke,
then you are energetically vibrating on scarcity. That's the language they use.
Yeah.
And it means your brain won't even register the opportunities for abundance that are right in front of you.
That makes the process of identity shifting sound extremely technical.
It is, in a way.
You have to consciously decide who this upgraded version of yourself is, and then just start operating from that point immediately.
It's about manufacturing your own identity. The key technique here is using identity statements.
Okay.
Simple, positive declarations that describe the person you are becoming. So it's not, I wish I had boundaries. It's
I'm a woman who honors her boundaries without guilt.
precisely. And the mechanism works because once your internal self-image is upgraded, your behavior just follows naturally.
Yeah.
Decision-making becomes frictionless. You don't have to debate whether to say no to something. The new you simply does not accept that.
I love that idea of strengthening the neural pathway until the new behavior is just the default. But let's dig into a concept that could be a little tricky. Conscious delusion. The sources call it the holly-go-lightly mindset.
Yes.
You are fully aware your life is imperfect or messy, but you consciously choose to inhabit the version of yourself that is thriving.
And this is where we need to draw a sharp line, right? Is this toxic positivity or is it strategic reframing?
Good question.
The sources argue it's the latter. It's about editing your life, not lying. It means making the hard parts feel cinematic rather than tragic.
So you're not ignoring the rent is due.
No, not at all. You are romanticizing the persistence required to earn that rent. You're maintaining a composure that doesn't get sucked into every little emotional drama. It's a way to insulate your core energy.
And that kind of reframing requires a lot of internal closure, too.
Absolutely.
One really insightful piece of advice was about dealing with relationships that ended badly or just never got a clean ending.
The invisible letters.
Invisible letters, yeah. Write to that person, say everything you need to say, act as if you sent it, and then you just burn the paper, you release the attachment. It's actively clearing out old emotional clutter.
The tactical intervention is designed to regain your emotional power. And speaking of power, the sources are completely unanimous on the attitude towards setbacks. Failure is not an event, it's preparation.
They specifically counter what they call the readiness myth. And this is that psychological trap that tells you that you need one more qualification or one more month of practice before you can actually start.
Right, you're never ready.
Never. And the real unlock, they say, is recognizing you have a short window, especially in your 20s, to make as many high-frequency failures as possible.
Because the lessons compound so much faster.
Exactly.
And we see the outcome of this in that anecdote about hitting an impossible personal goal, like a specific, very challenging weight loss target. The moment you break that self-imposed limit, you prove to yourself that the mental boundaries you created they were arbitrary. That single achievement creates, and this is a quote, a huge door to a completely new world of possibilities.
Because that confidence is universally transferable. You know you're capable of the impossible.
You do.
Okay, so that internal belief is the cornerstone. Now, let's transition that energy outward and see how it affects attraction and, connection dynamics. This area really emphasizes cultivating feminine energy, which they define by its ability to slow down and to receive.
Absolutely. The feminine being is intentionally not in a rush. And this isn't just a metaphor, it manifests physically.
How so?
They say to slow down your posture, your walking, your speech. You consciously avoid using filler words like or like. And that creates this powerful sense of presence and intentionality.
And this emphasis on receiving is so crucial. The key piece of advice for cultivating a high-value persona is learning to accept help or a gift without reacting with shock or rejecting it.
Yes.
You have to reinforce the belief, both internally and externally, that I do deserve that.
And that skill, it directly contradicts the dominant hustler energy culture that we see everywhere. The one that celebrates rigidity and total self-sufficiency. If you can't receive, you shut down the flow of abundance. One source, drawing from context, actually posits that the feminine partner's energy is like fuel to the masculine.
That's a big claim.
It is. But it's predicated on a genuine, energetic exchange, where both people recognize a need, they purify their intentions. It's about mutual support, not manipulation.
Stepping to relationship dynamics, what's fascinating is where they say real connection happens, and it's in the non-sexual elements.
Right.
Your sources drew observations from the escort industry, finding that many high-achieving men pay these astronomical sums not primarily for sex,
but to feel visible.
Exactly. They feel completely unseen in their everyday lives, at home or at work.
Attention is the ultimate modern luxury. I mean, think about it. When you are hyper visible on social media or in the boardroom, but internally you feel completely unseen, that creates a massive emotional debt.
So how do they fill that debt?
The technique they use is strikingly simple.
Yeah?
Sustained eye contact. They call it the soft focus technique.
The soft focus. Tell us more about that.
So it's holding someone's gaze, but you're not just staring into their eyes. You allow your focus to soften just slightly, which gives this illusion of deep, singular presence. When you hold someone's gaze with that level of attention, you create this intense feeling of intimacy. You make the person feel truly chosen. It just melts away tension. And that feeling of being seen is a currency they cannot easily buy anywhere else.
That one technique seems more valuable than 1,000 words of flattery.
It is.
And speaking of actionable feedback, what really stood out was the advice about intimacy. Apparently, the number one mistake women make in bed is not giving enough direction or real feedback.
And that means no fake orgasms.
No fake orgasms. And men genuinely want to know how to please the woman authentically.
It's a direct link back to power and authenticity. And when we talk about attraction, the source is meticulously distinguished between vulnerability.
Which is seductive.
Right, it's seductive because it creates openness and trust. They distinguish that from insecurity, which is anti-seductive because it's constantly demanding validation.
Right.
So confidence in this whole self-optimization model isn't just a feeling. It comes from external skills, from achievements, from having a consistent track record of success.
Moving on to the practical mechanics of a relationship, conflict is, it's inevitable, but secure partners know how to handle it maturely. They deal with conflict with care, without condemnation or threatening to leave. Conflict, when it's handled correctly, is where you really see a person's character.
And then there's the tough advice on red flags. If a man starts pulling away, the hard truth, and this is supported by multiple sources, is that he likely has no genuine interest.
So what's the secure woman's response?
It's not to adjust her personality to fit his whim. It's to adjust her access.
What does adjusting your access look like in practice?
Well, it means removing the option for him to consume your time and energy with low-effort engagement. If he's disrespectful or he's ghosting you,
Yeah.
you immediately set a consequence. So instead of confronting him about the ghosting, you just make yourself unavailable for a while, or you cut off communication entirely. The sources emphasize that if a man is showing disrespect, it signals a lack of strong boundaries on the woman's part.
And that just invites more low-effort behavior.
Exactly. It shifts the power dynamic instantly.
The final piece on relationships was this idea of an intimacy roadmap. We often just focus on physical or emotional intimacy, but healthy relationships need consistent cultivation of multiple types.
That's so true.
You might have great conversations, great sexual chemistry, but if you lack intellectual alignment or the ability to handle conflict, that shared maturity factor, the relationship is going to struggle.
Which takes us to our third and final sentence. Translating all of his internal and relational power into external strategy and performance.
Okay.
And this begins with viewing external investment in yourself, beauty, presentation, skills, as a form of capital.
Right. Beauty is absolutely framed as currency for women. It attracts opportunity, attention, and investment.
And this isn't a one-time thing. It requires these small daily investments that compound over time.
We're talking prioritizing meticulous skincare and never neglecting the neck and chest.
And it goes beyond just surface care. The sources advocate for eating nutrient-dense foods, and they even mention specific supplements, magnesium glycinate, vitamin D3, iron, as being helpful for energy and skin health.
It's all part of what they call the 110% show-up rule. You have to commit to always looking thoughtfully put together, even if you're just running errands.
The grooming specifics get very granular too, moving into skill acquisition, like learning DIY hair care or developing a personal silhouetting uniform so you always know what looks good on your frame.
And maybe most importantly, selecting a signature scent and carrying a small size for reapplication.
Never underestimate the cognitive impact of smelling fantastic.
Never. But this hyper-focus on optimization brings us to a real tension point, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The balance between authenticity and performance.
It really does. We see the rise of what's being called AI beauty, where filters sculpt and lift your features, and the result is everyone looking strangely similar. We optimize for a digital ideal, and we potentially sacrifice what makes us unique.
It's the cost of homogenization. And we see this calculated branding in the pop star world too. Rosé, for instance, strategically kept the color pink in her solo work.
Right, a subtle anchor back to her black-pink identity.
Exactly. While simultaneously signaling her evolution, it's disciplined performance.
And if you fail to be clear, you risk criticism. Lisa's alter ego concept, where she adopted all these different personas, was criticized for blurring the musical categories. It made her brand feel chaotic, not cohesive. Strategic performance needs that crystalline clarity to work.
And for any of you in the content creation space, the strategy formula is pure performance. You hold tension until the payoff.
Raise the stakes.
Raise the stakes, deepen the curiosity, and then you deliver the answer. It immediately maximizes watch time. The competitive landscape is so fierce that content creation isn't a hobby anymore. It's a calculated, high-effort business.
You basically have to become a professional who requires dedication, even taking acting or comedy classes.
So shifting to career and financial success, the sources advise smart women to play to win by breaking what they call the invisible rules of the workplace.
I love this part.
It means always having multiple backup plans, making sure you have leverage, and mastering negotiation tactics.
One of those tactics is anchoring high.
Right. If you want $100, you anchor the negotiation at $150. You pull the other side's perceived ceiling higher, ensuring your final offer is much closer to your actual target.
And maybe the biggest invisible rule to break is this. Never ask for permission.
You flip the script.
Yeah.
From a request to a declaration.
Exactly. Instead of asking, can I take next Friday off?
Yeah.
You state, I can't be here next Friday, but I will have next project completed by Thursday. You communicate your plans, you assume approval, and you maintain your power.
That requires so much confidence and preparation. And finally, financial freedom isn't just about a high salary.
Not at all.
It's anchored in diversified revenue and having multiple income streams.
This is the ultimate leverage. It's the ability to walk away. And that's a secret learned from necessity and survival in volatile, high-stakes environments like the escort industry.
Real freedom means you never have to tolerate disrespect or compromise your boundaries for a paycheck.
And ultimately, this entire self-optimization journey relies on one core belief. You must believe you are valuable everywhere you go. You don't wait to become an expert to get paid. You get paid to become one.
So we've covered the entire journey, from mastering the internal landscape with identity statements and conscious delusion, to executing a sharp strategic external plan using beauty as currency and high-level negotiation. We've basically been talking about manufacturing an optimal identity that's designed to secure success and maximum value.
And that leads to a really profound historical connection. So many of these sources discuss securing high value to attract high-quality mates or opportunities. If we zoom out, human social structures themselves created a system where this kind of performance was required. About 8,000 years ago, during what's called the Neolithic bottleneck, the invention of complex social organization hierarchy, resource concentration, land ownership, it created massive genetic selection events.
Wait, let's simplify that for a second. That means that the invention of society literally changed evolution.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Status and resource concentration, rather than just raw physical fitness, began to consistently predict male mating success. Society invented a system where performance and hierarchy often overrode natural selection. It's a very persistent system.
Okay, here's where it gets really provocative. So what does this all mean for the modern self-help seeker?
Well, if status and resource concentration still predict success today, and a lot of modern studies show that wealth and mating inequality move in parallel, we have to ask ourselves a question. How much of this hyper-focused pursuit of high value that we've just discussed is genuine self-improvement, aimed at increasing personal happiness? And how much of it is a strategic, highly polished performance designed merely to successfully navigate these ancient social systems that have been embedded in human culture for millennia?
So are we truly trying to change ourselves, or are we just executing the ultimate playbook to optimize our position within an ancient, persistent hierarchy?
That's the question.
A fantastic thought to sit with, especially as you start to implement these tactics. We'll leave you with that, and we'll be back for a deeper dive next time.